Howdy, I'm Paul. I work in the admin services, but the assurances program that many of you are familiar with are developers. You have a notice of decision. The notice of decision tells you to do things. So we're going to go today, we're going to change gears from the conceptual level, or things that are out there on the community-wide, down to the actual street level, down to you're hiring a contractor, you need to get someone on site. Most of what we do is all listed in your notice of decision. You've come into the county, you want to divide your land. We've told you to do something with your land with the public improvements. You have to change your public improvements in order to divide your land. We want you to improve the streets, the roads, and this document guides you through it. We previously spoke about that here at the Development Forum. There's a part that's a little more detailed, a little subtlety, and that is, what happens if I want to get on before I get the facility permit? What happens if I need to run a utility line up the street before the facility permit's ready? So this is a subtlety at the very tangible level of my notice of decision spells out to me, I have to give the county 3 sets of plans, a big check, and it's in design review, my engineer's working on it. How do I do something ahead of that with my project? So there's a couple parts to that, and we're going to first start off with the right-of-way permit part of it. There's 2 permits, as Steve pointed out. There's a facility permit, which is for the complex engineered plans that are required in order to do major work in the public right-of-way. And then there's the right-of-way permits, which allow access to the right-of-way, usually to repair, and I'm going to let Aaron explain a little bit more, repair and do more of the smaller jobs that don't require engineered plans in advance of review. And so when you want to get into the right-of-way and do these things ahead of a facility permit, such as putting a storm line or cut through a street, you'll probably want to first start with the right-of-way permit part. These are exceptions to the rules. What we're talking about today is exceptions to the rules, not the standard. We want you to come in, get your facility permit, have your engineering plans all ready, do a design review, get on site, and start building as quickly as possible. Sometimes it doesn't work, and that's what we're talking about, that subtlety when it doesn't work out that way. So I'm going to let Aaron jump in and start talking about the first part of getting on site.
Thank you, Paul. Again, my name is Aaron Clodfelter. I work over at Walnut Street building behind the Winco, so I'm not actually at the PSB, so I'm the right-of-way permit supervisor and operations and maintenance. So as Paul mentioned, right-of-way permits that I supervise are more simple permits, allows utilities and other individuals to have access to the right-of-way. We're looking for road restoration, things like that, so it's within the existing right-of-way. We also issue access permits, so things like driveway permits, but that can also be temporary construction accesses. So to help facilitate the development, occasionally there's projects that have some off-site utilities that need to perhaps take a water line or a sewer line from a few blocks away. That can be accomplished through a general construction right-of-way permit, and we can issue that permit. We will need a set of plans, we have an application to fill out, and we can handle that ahead of the facility permit. I think preferably it would all be handled under one permit, and then you have one set of inspectors and one person helping that out. But there is occasions when that might be useful to get a jump on the development. So the other type of permit that we could issue is a access permit. This would be the case when there's no on-site public improvements, so occasionally it might be all private streets, or if it's within the city limits, then the city actually has jurisdictions over the streets that are being constructed, and we wouldn't review those plans here. But again, to get on site, you would need to have grading approval and erosion sediment control approval and those sort of things. But those are the kind of the 2 instances where I think our permits could help facilitate some of the development and expedite some of the work. So, with that.
So then comes one last part, and that is you have your facility permit in process and you have public improvements on your property you're going to have to build, such as on-site streets that are public streets, and you still want to get on site, there's an access-only facility permit which we've worked and came up with, which is really similar to the access permit you would get when there's no public improvements on the property. It really is an exception to the circumstance of getting your facility permit. The intent is get a facility permit, get a full-fledged permit, you can do construction. An access-only facility permit prohibits the construction in the public right-of-way or future public right-of-way. So it's not intended to go out and build your streets out on private land and turn it over to the county later. It's intended for, hey, we need to get on site, we need to get our grading started for 2 weeks ahead, we know our facility permit's coming in a couple of weeks, and there's a formal review process on our part to say, yeah, we can let you get on there and get something on there. It's usually an exception to the rule. It's usually a big push, and it almost always happens this time of year, which is why we toss this in at this point. But I think what the important factor, what we wanted to present is we do have mechanisms to help folks get on site. They aren't always just you have to get a facility permit. These are kind of the only exceptions out there. If you need to get on site and there is no public improvements, you may be able to access it through, get on site through an access permit. If you do have public improvements, there may be a process to get you on site with it. The two processes are available to you, and I know we're getting into some subtleties and technical things, but it's a good topic for us to bring up. With that, really, we'll take any questions from our...
Well, I want to say one more thing.
Yeah, sorry.
If you are thinking about, this might be a process that you're interested in, please give me or Paul a call ahead of time, and we can kind of just make sure that kind of vet those out before we just get an application. And then if it's not valid, then we have to go through potentially refunding money on our end, and we just prefer just to coordinate ahead of time, just say, yeah, this looks like a good process, going to work out for you. So
We'll stay there. Open up for questions. Any questions about either the right-of-way permit or facility permit?